purpose, passion, and play. Okay,
Ooh,
got it.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, these beads are from his Aboriginal taken into country family mother. He said, I want something for my blood mother. So I'm wearing those, and I'm wearing a mala that is from the birth center in Bali. You can see it up close.
Yes,
The family thing.
yes.
And the heart locket that of Om, and it's from India and Bali. Mother of pearl, heart, Om. All of that, all of which are part of my, it stayed with me for years, which is delightful. So I put those on in love and respect of meeting with you again, my darling, darling one, who is just blooming so beautifully. You know, when my first learnings in India, I was in a garden and I would do 6 hours a day for a year or two. And I wanted to be out. I met people from the Royal Shakespeare Company. We did after hours theatre, and I wanted to go out on the road with them to, you know, and even design shows to Mumbai and stuff. And the master said, very good, but you stay in the garden. And I stayed in the garden 6 hours a day for a couple of years, primaled under the rose bushes, cleansed up my things, but also stayed alone. And it suited me. I'd go to the discourses, we'd have these things. I have a good mind. Later, I worked with publications, and sometimes he'd give me a book to edit. But my work, 6 hours a day, was on the earth with my hands in the garden.
Yes, let's go to the root. I would love you to introduce, I'm introducing you to this group as a crone, as an elder that has awoken my path. You really were the first teacher, guide, mentor that came along the path and really ignited my feminine awakening and the work that I do. And
Beautiful.
I really see as that elder.
Just as you're saying that, awakening the feminine path and the feminine path of awakening, I'm getting goosebumps all up my left leg, you know, like coming in there. And now it's coming up my spine because we're walking tall in that. We're claiming that. We're standing in sovereign presence. You know, there was the time when I interviewed the Dalai Lama at one point, what can we do for peace on earth? And he looked at me and he said, you maintain creative dialogue. And it was out of the blue, and I couldn't believe it. I had spoken something before, and it's outside Government House in Australia. And it actually got recorded on television. And we were eyeball to eyeball. He held my thumb the day before as we put hands around each other, you know, hands namaste. And it sent a whole sort of lightning electrical impulse in the finest way down to my heart. And my thumb was broken when I was born. I was pulled out. I was the handling, you know, where the hand comes out first. Yes. And there was a reluctance to come in this world again, somehow knowing what I know or remembering what I do. And my mother said, you were late, you know, and your father had to go to work, and the doctors, it was his golf day, and you were late. I mean, that was her conditioning at that time. Mothers were commodities. They had to produce babies. It was like the echoes of what we have come through. It was quite a while ago, and we have evolved so beautifully since then. And, you know, my joy right now is being a birth keeper, in bringing women into this space of the pure, and again, I get goosebumps on both legs, because in this place, what happens around the birth when we really honor the wisdom of the woman, the timing of the woman, her unique sovereign way of being in the world. You take out fear, because there's only one choice, and the choice is clear. You live your life from love or fear, and you just love her by being presence. Whatever she says, does, roars, freaks out, whatever. It's like staying home in love and saying, yes, darling, blessed you, blessed, blessed, blessed. And it's amazing. I've been with births, which they're just about at a hospital to ship her off to a hospital in an ambulance an hour away so they can do an operation. Oh, she's been laboring for, 20 hours or something. And it's like, well, let's just wait a while.
Mm.
And I've actually requested them. I said, I feel she's okay. I feel she just needs to rest in her being a bit. Can everyone leave the room?
Mm.
And, I'm just going to be there and her partner, and just give us a little more time. I know officially it's so many hours and all that sort of thing since the waters break. Just a while. I have a feeling it's good. And when she's in there and all the officials go out, and we darken the lights, and we said, let's light a candle for love here. Which one would you like, darling? Which fragrance do you like? Do you remember which one was burning when you made love? And she said, oh, that one. And then we're in this space of, where was it? Was it, what? And she's with them, and I'm saying, sometimes you can feel it, can't you? When something moves inside you so deeply. What was it like with you? And she said, well, it was beautiful, but it wasn't as so-called spiritual and sacred that I thought might be. We actually started laughing. And I went, this is wonderful. I said, really this? And she started relaxing. And I'm just with her. And I'm watching the pulsation on the vagina that is just quivering a little bit more. And after this, we're speaking a little more of that. And how did you feel? And he's there. And when, almost he knows what to do. Remember how when you're feeling her? So he goes to the nipples, which are connected to that. Open up your lips, and you open up the lips down below. So it's like this space of just calling without telling in that space. And all of a sudden she moves. She said, oh, that was an interesting roll. And it's like, yeah, let's have a roll. The best way you bring out babies is the way you brought them in there. I made love in the morning with my lover who I'd been speaking to the night before, and he was 6 hours away. And I'm lying by the fire, supposedly not a couple of weeks away, and I'm rubbing my belly and loving him, and I'm saying, oh, it'll be so lovely to see you. He said, the baby. I said, no, you. And he said, I've got a little bit more work to do, but I've got to get it done before the baby comes. And then he wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He had said he drove 6 hours. And he said, there was something in your invitation that was too hard to resist. The work can wait. And he got in and he started just loving my body and loving my belly. And we've just loved and snuggled till dawn in the most gentle, sort of almost like puppy pussycat way, And it was like this. And I wake up so yummy and blessed. And he said, well, I better get something done. We're on a community. So I'll go off and do my days, my voluntary day for the month, For this one, I've got a few owing. So I'll do that today. And I stayed home. I felt so slow and yummy and lovely. I started cooking. And then it was like more, then I started looking for pots. Oh, I could clean here. The next thing I'm on all fours, I can clean it. Oh, that's something in my belly. Oh, it feels better if I'm on my knees. So it went on for a couple of hours and I started cleaning all the cupboards and the floor. And then I said, oh, the wood's so beautiful. We built this house, and I'm loving him and loving the wood and whatever. And this belly piece. And maybe that's the practice ones, the Braxton Hicks. And it was like, I wonder what they are. I called up the hospital and I went, this is what's happening. What, are they that Braxton, before birth? He said, lady, they'll either stop or you'll give birth. I was like, oh, really? Oh, I better go up and tell Pete. He's off on the neighbouring farm. So I get in to drive the truck and I can't fit because the baby's got heads down, so his bum's out. And it doesn't fit with me in the wheel anymore. And I'm going, oh, okay. And then something else happens. And I went, I got out of the car and on the ground and fortunately put the brake on as we're going uphill. And I just put the seat back. I'm quite casual. because you go in the zone. You know that somewhere inside you knows what to do, like an acorn knows it's going to be an oak tree. And this is the knowing that we bring out in the woman in that space of natural birth. Gentle birth heals Mother Earth. It's like somewhere inside you knows how to make love. If you drop all the images of the eyes of the what it looks like in movies, or your self-concept of what he wants, or will he leave you, or all that mental conversation garbage, it's like when that's out of the way, when you're present in love as love, you know who you are, you know how to love, you know how to birth, you know what you're going to cook for dinner, you know, like you know, this knowing, you know that you wouldn't send your sons to war. You know that, yeah, the carrots need to be moved to a place near the sunshine where the seedlings go in. It's like, you know, that you didn't need to be on the internet for 4 hours. You know these things. It's like what we do in our work, darling, is provide the circle where our own self-doubt dissolves, disappears. We've nothing to prove, darling, nothing to give. We're just being in the company of good women. And as Buddha said, keeping good company half the way home. You know, it's like, yes, yes, bless, dear sister. And for this knowing, your knowing was so manipulated to be commodified and sold because you're a beautiful woman, because you have a willowy body, we're going to make you a model. And they used you in such a way that they made it very hard for your temple body to remember your essence.
Yes, I really want to return to that moment when I met you. I think I was 21 or something, 21, 22, so fresh in the work and on that teetering of giving up modeling, giving up the nightclubs. And I was working at that early morning sober rave, and you were dancing the morning Gloryville. And I watched you dancing, and you know, you just looked so fabulous and so free. And it was so wild because I saw you that morning on the dance floor, and I took a video and I sent it to my grandmother in South Africa. And I said, look at this liberated woman, like it's so inspiring. And a few hours later, I was walking in Portobello and I saw you. I came into a coffee shop and you were sitting there in the same coffee shop hours later. And I went up to you and I said, you won't believe this, but I've got a video of you from this morning dancing. And you just said to me, oh, hello, darling. That's why I'm here. Come, let's have a coffee. Like, let's have a tea. Sit with me. You just invited me in as if that was exactly what needed to happen. Like we were meant to meet. There was no question. And I literally came with you from there. We spent the whole afternoon drinking tea. You invited me to that artist's house that you were staying. I slept over with you in this beautiful man's home. And then we booked our flight tickets to Croatia that very night. you said, let's go to Croatia. There's a festival. I feel I must be there. I feel called and you can come with me. And I was looking online and I was like, but Lila, there's no tickets left. And you said, don't worry, darling. We'll go. We will make it work. Just trust, trust the call. And it was such an example for me of just taking a great leap of faith. I don't know you, but my heart and I just cried with you that night, cried and cried, like a coming home. Like, oh, I have missed this maternal mother, grandmother holding. And I just knew, okay, I'm going to come with you. And so we got to the festival. There were no boats, remember? It was late at night. There was no taxi boat. And we're just standing at the dock in a new little island trying to get to this festival. And we saw a musician and he was playing his guitar. And you said, follow him. He'll know. And we followed this musician that was playing along the harbor, and he was going to the festival and he had a taxi boat, and he said, all right, come in my boat. And we got into his boat and it took us in the night. in the dark night, don't know where I'm going. We don't have tickets. We're off to the festival. We just have our little backpacks. And we got to the festival gates, and it was a private island that was just for this festival. And remember, there was like,
Yes.
yeah, Obanyang, yeah. And when we got to the entrance, there were the ladies at the reservations, and they were like, where's your ticket? You have to have a lodge booked, because there were these beautiful cottages, and we had none of that. And you said, oh, I'm here to host a women's circle. I want to do a moon circle with the women here. And they said, are you on the program? And you said, no, I felt the call to come. And you started sharing about the importance of women's circles and holding space from the experience and lived position that you come from. And it was just, the one lady started crying behind the desk. She was like in tears, and she got the chills, the truth bumps. And she was just like, put them in the cottage. She's in, we'll schedule her into the Saturday night. We'll make it happen. And we got that beautiful cottage for 10 days. And I went to
wonderful.
I went to the very first women's circle. I'd never been to a women's circle. I had no idea what that was. And you held that space.
Wow, I've got goosebumps off on both legs when you speak that, because that's the initiation of you in the women's circle, which is now part of the work that you're sharing so well, and all your life experience of presenting, not just the lawyer, the nightclub, and the model, but all this sort of thing. It's like, it's the initiation into the path of love that will, in your position in the creatrix matrix right now, will radiate out to many. It's beautiful, darling. And thank you so much for receiving and trusting in that. And when the cafe, when you reminded me then, it was like, I've sat there a long time. I wonder why I'm here. And then you walked in.
And there were so many lessons on that trip, because this is also something I wish to speak of, because there's so many ways in this work where you meet the illusionists. And there was that crystal man who took me into his tent and wanted to do that healing on me, and knew something was up. And I was at that point still working through my abuse, and I hadn't learned to contain or trust my own energy and intuition. And I found myself going into his tent, not wanting to, but not knowing how to say no, still in that nice girl, people pleaser. Okay, I'll go into your tent, even though everything in my body feels so uncomfortable. And I remember lying down on his mat, and he was doing some like energy healing, but I was completely frozen. And I just heard your voice suddenly. You were like shouting, Annette, you were calling, and you were like, you could tell something was not right. And you pulled open that tent and you pulled him out, and you said, you are not acting in integrity. You told him straight, and he was so shook. He was so shaken. And what was beautiful, because of your like gentle but fierce mother, his little boy, his wounded boy, melted, and he cried, and he actually asked for forgiveness. And we sat the next morning at breakfast, and it was this alchemizing of shadow play from that fierce grace of a mother saying, no, no, not my child, no more.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. I mean, I'm getting like goosebumps all over, when the spirit says, yay, God. My 9-year-old son, at one point when I came out of my room healing, and he'd had to get his own afternoon tea after school, because I do the deep sessions when he was away. And I said, oh, look, it was so amazing. There was such a light. There was so much, rushes of reality, truth bumps, spirit on call. He said, Mom, you better not shave the legs. How can you tell the truth? My 9-year-old son said. Out of his mouth came, stirring the spaghetti, Mom, you better not shave your legs. How can you tell the truth? I said, my hairs are on end. I mean, I just jump into that out of the mouth of babes.
Oh,
wow. They're just, just the way that we do that we've been feeling these things all along the line. and
Mm.
almost disclaiming our knowing, our space. It's spirit inside saying, yay, God, hairs on end. Our spirit inside knows the only way out is in. Come home now to the heart, song that we sing. And wonderful, sweetheart. I'm really glad. I didn't realize how much had been really integrated and remembered. And this is part of like chapter 1 of your book. You were going to call it modeling abuse at one point in time, but I think it's gone far beyond that. That's just a chapter. Like there's an evolution of woman awakening now. And again, the Dalai Lama said, peace is in the hands of the wise Western woman.
Mm. Mm.
And in that thing in India, in over 10 years ago, a conference in Jaipur, in India, called Making Way for the Feminine, for the benefit of the world community. Making Way for the Feminine. And interesting, it happened in Jaipur, where there was a bit at the Marriott Hotel, big fancy. And sometimes I'll slip across the 4-lane highway to the hospital because I liked Indian food and idlis and dosas and all that sort of thing, rather than bacon and eggs at the Marriott Hotel. Like plastic imported from California. It was disgusting, actually. But anyway, over the road, 4-lane highway, it was a huge sign saying sex determination tests are unavailable at this hospital. And I looked, this is, over a decade ago. That's interesting. And then someone explains to me, in Jaipur, the man-woman ratio, and this is just over a decade ago, was 79%, 79 women to every 100 men, because of female infanticide and female feticide. So it just like take this in. We're in a privileged position. We're allowed to be free and we're allowed to dance and wear bikinis and do whatever. But, there are places there, and even though India is so magnificently honoring the true sacred feminine, some of the poorer people, because of finances, it's known as the fourth daughter syndrome. If you find you're pregnant with 4 girls, it's just de rigueur that you release it, however it is. And if it makes into birth, you haven't been able to get a test, there's something that they have, you give it a welcome bath in milk laced with arsenic. This is true, darling. It's called the fourth daughter syndrome. And although I feel like, oh my God, do I dare even say that? Because it's not the poor people, it's the economic system and the things like this that, forgive me, but it's like that in any way, the women, they have not done it out of superiority, whatever. It's just the conditioned things, particularly if you're in the lower classes, that they cannot survive. It's our economic system and the patriarchal pyramid of power that honors things. It is not the individual. It is the system, darling.
Yeah, on that note, we actually
it's strong. Sorry, forgive us. That's really strong. I feel it in my body, in my belly.
Yeah.
But,
it feels really important to speak to what you were sharing, this correlation I'm seeing between the women's circle and the space holding and the time, this infinite amount of time to give to women awakening and birthing and sharing, and how nowadays I'm witnessing this we too busy to listen to each other. We don't have time to have a circle anymore because I'm going to teach you, and the paradigm of women's work has shifted. It's almost been re-corrupted into an old hierarchy.
Oh, darling, first of all, take out the word teacher. Yes. It's like somewhere inside you knows, like an acorn knows it's going to be an oak tree. Like if you give yourself time, you know how to make love. You're not going to go to somewhere and teach it on the internet. It's like, and if you treat your life like you make love, then it's like, it's a whole different paradigm.
Yes.
And more than a paradigm, it's the natural way. Give yourself space and time to hear the wisdom of your own sweetheart. And without mind, there is no time. Without time, there is no mind. The fast food, fantastic, instant coffee, instant sex, none of that is in any way of value in what is arising in the world today, in the evolution, revolution of coming home to the natural self. And, you know, just be with one birth that is held in sacred respect, love, and the natural way. Oh, your due date's this long, you've made love then, and you're mid-cycle. It often doesn't even come in through that. The baby will come when it comes. And how you're going to be, love will decide. And love doesn't have a schedule.
Yeah.
And in that place, sometimes you're there. One of the gracious things that has been my teaching is to be present in love, as love, for a woman birthing. And all the range of emotions, you're one with her, you can feel her as well. But at the same time, you're holding the light in your heart, which is like a light in the temple. And the presence. And it's like when your child goes into fear, you don't jump in and say, oh, where did the fear come from? You must have watched telly. You didn't. You just hold them. You turn the light on and you hold them if they're calling out in the night. I've had a nightmare. I hear you had a nightmare. You put it in the past. Wise mother just holds them. I'm gonna hold you in my arms and feel your loving charms. And you do it for your lover who's afraid. I'm gonna hold you till the fear in you subsides. And it's mutual. I'm gonna hold you in my arms. I'm holding and healing. How is that for me? It's meditation, it's place, it's presence, it's being here now. And when we come to this, patience, it's saying, I know better than God. This child should come at 3:33. You know, like, it's like, guess what? Sometimes I think I know better than God. I shouldn't have wrinkles. Ben's father should have given a better deal, you know, but come on. Love knows better than me. And that's where the surrender is. Surrendering to the love. And how do you know that is? You listen to the wisdom of your own sweetheart. That's where creation leaves the emails of creation in your heart of what you'd love to do. It's like if you listen to that cycle of who you truly are, you cannot go by a timetable. If you're making love, if you're bringing in the baby, if you're bringing in the sister circle. You know, the last one I held in Bali before the COVID and the lockdown, whatever, 35 women. And we started at 6 or 7. I said, maybe it'll finish at 9:30. It might have been 11. And no one had a sense of time anyway. Yeah. And it has its natural coming into conclusion, just like lovemaking.
And it's that capacity to listen to others, the humility of that. That's where the learning is.
Yes. And the teacher is not a teacher, I facilitate. If I'm asked to be in that role, I facilitate the wisdom in that woman, the teaching and the learning in her. We facilitate that by the space, through sacred sound, through dance, through, first of all, a little bit of movement. Like my old Indian master, first of all, you're coming to me to learn meditation. Well, your mind is very busy and your pelvis needs to move. So we began as a thing in response, exploring Kundalini and shaking. And so often we will do this because we've all got history, we've all got scars. It's not my first time we're here. Listen to the Beatles. We have all been here before at this incredible time of awakening in the planetary play. You know, such a gift to be here now, darling, and integrating many lives, integrating many things. There may be shadows coming up in relationships right now. I'm on the line as a relationship counselor. And it like someone says, look, we've been together years and something's good, but there's a part of me I don't want to be here anymore, but it's not I don't love them. And in there's a space, let's find what this I don't want to be here anymore is beyond the context. And maybe you might find it's in the conditioned reality of the way you were taught how to be in relationship or how to do love. And I mean, honestly, my wedding vows, which I stripped out and avoided, was I promised to love, honor, and obey a man until death do us part. Well, it was like, no way, Jose. There's just no way, you know? It's like, yes. So we come in a mother's womb, and the mother comes in her mother's womb. And I've worked with people in such allowing the fear to arise or the echoes of their hesitancy of being available to love. And sometimes it comes back to, it's not even her. And it wasn't even her mother, but it was the womb that her mother was in when the war happened. Like literally coming in, I don't know where. And if we say, we open it up, may I see where I first was affected by a contraction of fear. And a few days later, she calls me and she says, I woke up this morning with a dream. And she said, I looked on the feet and I saw the shoes, which are not like mine. And there was almost like boots walking on the things. And there was an echo of the same. I said, any name, any sound, any call. And then there was a space and then a little cry. And she said, it's my Nan. You know? And it's like in that space, her Nan was loving her and had passed on and was being there and whatever. And we don't know what form that is, but the lineage of love is always there. There's always someone. And when you pass on, you let mind and body go. Unconditional love was her Nan. You know, like, and, you know, the lineage, we have this thing of letting go of the 7 generations of them that hate me, it says in some religions in the Bible too. It's like of those that deny that our nature is love through no fault of our own. You know, we're seeing shadows, we're seeing through shadows. Shadows are arising. We can identify with them. And then we can take them to the dry cleaners or the therapist or do 10 sessions. Or we can go, just a minute. Has someone really attacked me now? I'm feeling attacked. Is the tiger got me by the throat? That was a judgment, but did anyone want to intentionally, physically hurt me right now? Take it in. And it's like, no, but I have a sense of being attacked. And it's making me choke up. And I can't even, I don't know what to say. And I can't even say no. And I'm having to swallow. And it's, I don't know. Be with this one. Facilitate. Just here, darling. Just breathe. It's not an hour session. It's just breathe. Okay. Something in the breath is choked up. Who knows where it come from? We're releasing a lot of past life crap too. Out of the way, you know? And, you know, when I first came to London, I looked in the British Museum and suddenly I was attracted to the witches. And I saw at that time there were over 3.5 million women. They called it the Dark Ages because our light was not seen. The sacred Mother Earth love. 3.5 million women were hung or burnt or somehow for their being wise, for being a midwife, for having a herb garden, or for singing a song of love.
Yeah.
You know, like, who knows how? And if you see it, and then I saw astrologically 2 cycles of Pluto, how that came up and what happened then. And, you know, there are many things to be seen of the purging at that time, the plague, the dark plague, the AIDS plague, you know, the things that come through. And right now, the shadows, because if you die getting hung for your truth and you don't know what you've done, and you're in the market square and you can see the people, even people you love, and that's the last image, and you don't know what you've done. I just went out with this woman to gather some herbs. And you know, you're young and you're there, and it's like you're still in the body in some ways. And you come in, and what you die with, you come in with. So I'm working on a woman just a few weeks ago, and it's like she's got the symbols. Where's the pain? At the bottom of the spine and the back of her neck. And she said, it almost feels like I want to, you know, have my head up. And I said, let's just try this. Let's have a golden thread pulling it up if I'm just doing a massage. But let's do this. She said, I don't know, somehow it's like, oh, I want to shake it free. It's a classic one, because what you die with, you come in with. So if you're an old man and you've been, you know, had been ill for a long while, but you're taken in by your family and you're in the attic, and every day we visit him and bring him food, and Grandpa, you're all right. He said, I can hardly move now. I better move down to the ground floor. Can't do any stairs. And he stays there. He can get a bit grumpy, but you're all right, Grandpa. And he's dying, so we call the priest, and the family come around and say their goodbyes. And I'm feeling it in my spine right now, you know? And we sort of give him the space of that. And then he can feel so loved. He said, thank you, you're so beautiful. And he lives a bit longer. And then it happens again, they come again. So he really gets that he's loved and forgiven. And forgive your brother for running off with your first girlfriend and the man who ripped you. You know, he does all his forgiveness. R.I.P., rest in peace. Easy Jeff. He'll die in his sleep and come back and as an easy child, quite loved. But if someone dies on the battlefield or hung, not knowing, it's the baby that comes in through a sudden cesarean, and they're a bit like that.
Yeah,
And
me, a scheduled cesarean. Yeah, scheduled cesarean.
Were you, darling? Oh, why?
Yeah.
So you come up at a certain time according to somebody else, not when you're ready,
Yeah,
not in your own sovereign being.
Yeah, because my dad was the doctor and he wanted to schedule the births.
Oh, yeah. Schedule births to fit in with my timetable. Did you ever have a thing as a young girl that you had to fit in with the man's timetable, or prerequisites or expectations in love?
Yeah, and the sad thing with these sort of doctors and gynaes that I'm now facing in the birth world, is they really believe they are healers and they're doing such a good job and saving women's lives, and like they've really convinced themselves, some of the older ones, bless them, who really need to step aside and be humbled out of that role of martyr and savior and hero, and find what it is that actually makes them man. And I think that's the wounded masculine. He has not humbled himself to understand that we actually don't need saving. We just need you to hold space and witness us, and yeah, be patient with us through this process of awakening together.
Yeah, with each other, with all of us, with all of us. And this identification with a role, birth, past life, which comes from that. You know, when you're doing some healings, I start burping if it's like that. Identification with role. They're carrying it for a long time. And if, you know, I mean, when you've got to recognize that rape was not considered a crime if it was your husband in the so-called free United States of America in 1973 in 9 states. Darling, that's not long ago. That's in my lifetime. I was making love then. To know that rape was, I could have been married. Rape was not considered a crime in 9 states in America if it was your husband. Because, you know, and 100 years ago, we're absolutely commodity property settlements. Oh, I like your cattle and you like my corn. And, you know, we can have boundaries. We can have a bigger farm. You've got a daughter, I've got a son. Let's put them together.
Mm.
You know, like business arrangements, commodity.
Mm. Mm.
It's like, go back
Yeah.
deeper, darling. What we're doing right now by standing sovereign, by being saying sovereign to our yes and sovereign to our no, and sovereign to, I'm meeting you, but I'm having memories of something that happened a long time ago. And I feel to be respectful to my emotional temple body. So I'm really attracted to you, but let's just keep it at holding hands for a few weeks, not even time, but until it feels true. Let's go for a walk on the beach and hold hands instead of, you know, the instant coffee, instant sex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are you, Richard? You know, it's like, take time. In the true tantric loving, there's a statement, you have an hour for an elbow. You know, like you can take your time. And in true tantra, you follow the woman's breath and the woman's timing.
Mm.
And the man surrenders to receiving. But more of that, we'll speak in person where we can breathe into all the things, all the chakras. You know, I'm positive and, you know, he's positive in his pole and I'm negative in my yoni, and it goes positive and negative and positive, all of that stuff. Let's do it energetically. Let's come together and have a whole day and bring our friends in, a woman awakening in the woodlands, whatever.
Yes, yes,
And
we're doing it. We're coming, and I'm actually gonna share this with all my women on my platforms, because this feels like such a beautiful and relevant conversation for all the sisters and women, and to know that we're going to be together in the UK very soon.
Very soon. Beautiful, beautiful. What day actually are you arriving? Do you know?
Yes,
Let me know, because there's a few things happening and I'd love to be connected.
Yeah, I leave for London next week. So
Beautiful.
I'm gonna close this recording just to, and then me and you can have a chat. So
just
thank you.
1 minute before you do, let me see.
Your card.
Where did I put this? I have my, where did it go? Okay. I wanted to say, I have this beautiful bag. Yes, I do. It's here. Guess what? This is from Bali. And can you see that? It says, gentle birth heals Mother Earth.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And it's from the birth center in Bali. Beloved sister Ibu Robin. She was actually CNN Hero of the Year Award in 2011. And this is where the most beautiful place to be involved in that. It's also Hindu, and you know, I'm invited in, and they say, will you sing? We'll sing the Gayatri mantra. May the darkness of the human experience be enlightened by the light of love that comes through me. Om Bo Bhuva Swaha. May the darkness be enlightened by the love that comes through my intellect, hands, being. The Gayatri mantra. Unless they're Christian and we sing Amazing Grace. But within this, there's something about a woman's circle that I feel is so essential in the world today. And there's an old elder called Grandma Twyla Nitch, who's head of the spiritual lineage in America. And in that space, she passed on the knowledge. She said, I see the women gathering in circles. And these circles are held in grace, you know, and held in time. We don't judge, we don't therapize, we allow the wisdom to come through. We allow the pain to come through. An old Aboriginal woman taught me that, who just sat there as this woman came in, drunk, disturbed, hurt, and she'd just have a cup of tea, dear, just be here. And within an hour, that woman was easy and sad and beautiful and forgiving and home. And in this place, it was like that we allow that wisdom, that holding the space of love is enough. I've mistrusted it in my life at different times. And then it's like, trust in your love, be who you be, let love have its way with thee. So Grandma Twalanich, circles there, she said, I see these circles rippling out to the community, to your village, to your town, to your country, to whatever. And when these circles encircle the world, then and only then shall we create a world where rape is impossible. So know that, dear sisters, and know that I honor your work to have magnified and shared these ripples in all the different communications you've done, seeding circles all over the world. Beautiful. In this, we are seeding the possibility that those qualities of the sacred feminine can arise in the planetary play. And as Amma said at the end of that festival in Jaipur, Mother's compassion, when someone thanked her for her compassion, she said, Mother's compassion needs to arise in every human being on the planet right now. This is not a gender issue. But those that have it, may they be supported in love and truth and grace. May they be supported to let that song sing out and bless us all. May they support it in their finding their way home. Because it's not in a manual. It's in who we are now. And from that womb wisdom that is in every woman. May it arise. To me, it's the sacred medicine for the whole world right now. Blessings be.
Blessings be. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And catching the gratitude attitude brings on the grace.
Yes.
We've been traveling so long. We've been traveling so wide. We've been traveling these lifetimes to find this way home. Home is where the heart is. Truth is in the living. Love is in the giving. Who I am now. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this opportunity to be with you, to let love share with all our friends there, the friends I'm yet to meet and play, as we bring in the possibility of a brand new day. I'll see you when I'm looking at you, darling. All love, always.